Hello, this is Jen Mitchell-Love from Solace Divorce Mediation. Today's Facebook Live is sharing with you the similarities and the differences between going through the family law court litigation system to get your divorce and going through Solace or any other mediation practice to get your divorce. So litigation versus mediation. And I was inspired to create this video today because I had a consultation with a woman who I had spoken to probably about a year ago, and they decided not to use mediation and they decided to use the court system. And now here we are, almost a year later. And she was sharing with me her frustration with the courtroom process and how she's been spending a lot of money and nothing has happened, and how her attorney is talking in her ear, telling her to do X, Y, and Z, as, filing motions against her husband, who is the father of her children. And she was sharing her struggle that she is feeling in the court system and how it's contradicting what her intention and hope was for the divorce, which was to have it be very smooth and to focus on the children and to focus on love and do it very mindfully. And so it was a really beautiful reminder for me that people do not really understand what mediation is. And I realized this too. I have so many people in a consultation who are like, I didn't even know what mediation was, or that this was a thing. Is this really a way that you can get a divorce? And it's like, yes. So I'm just going to make it real easy for everyone out there who is going through a divorce, who knows someone who is going through a divorce. I'm hopeful that this video reaches you because I think it will give you a lot of information that is going to be helpful to you to make decisions moving forward that best serve you. And if you have children, your forever co-parenting family, and the ripple effect when you are mindful and intentional about your divorce journey, the ripple effect is to your friends and your family and really to the world. So that is the level of passion I have for sharing this information with all of you. Okay, so let's start with the similarities between, and let's just take one step back. Okay, let's just start from the very beginning. One person in a marriage tells the other person, I think we should get a divorce, or I want to divorce. Okay. In that moment, there is a choice that needs to be made. And that choice is, how are you going to go through your divorce journey, as I call it, because it is a journey, right? There's a lot that comes up from divorce. There's a lot to learn. It's a beautiful opportunity to transform your life. And there are so many other lives that I'm going to be doing in these 100 days focused on that. But this video is, when that happens, you have a choice. How do you want to get your divorce? Okay. And I think a lot of people out there are programmed to believe that the only choice they have is to go into the court system, which means you hire a bulldog attorney who's going to get you what you deserve, and your spouse hires an attorney, and then they battle in court and a judge makes the decision. That is the litigated divorce. That is the courtroom litigated, family law court litigated divorce. That's one choice. Okay. The other choice, most common, there's 4 choices, but this is just focused on litigation and mediation. The other 2, collaborative and do it yourself, those are more explained in my Divorce with Love masterclass. So litigation, mediation. Okay. Litigation and mediation, the similarities between them, they both have the same governing law that is guiding the divorce. Okay. So it's the same law in court, litigated, fighting in court, disempowerment, versus mediation. Okay. Mediation is where you are working with a mediator. So even though I'm still a licensed attorney, I choose to use my expertise and my beautiful brain for good, serving in the capacity of mediator, which means I am here as a neutral guide. So litigation, you each hire attorneys, the attorneys fight, and you have a judge making the decisions for you. Mediation, you and your spouse are the drivers of the ship. You are the ones having all of the conversations. You are the ones making all of the agreements, and you are being guided by a mediator who is a neutral. So the mediator, when I'm in the space of mediator at Salis, I do not have the authority to make a decision. I'm not a judge. I'm not here to make a decision. I'm here to make sure that the parties, the two people who are married who are getting a divorce, I'm here to make sure that they know what the law says. I'm here to make sure that they have had every single conversation necessary pursuant to our governing law, because that is a similarity. Litigated divorce, mediated divorce, same law. So that is my due diligence. And finally, in the space of mediation, as a mediator, I'm able to work with both people and use 20 years of experience and over 500 couples that I've helped get a divorce. I've guided through a divorce. I'm able to use all of that and share with them different ways of looking at things to see what feels good to them, because they are the final authorities. Okay, so again, similarity, same law. Now, what does that mean, right? When I say it's the same law, well, what that means is when you are getting a divorce, you need to create 3 documents: your judgment, your parenting agreement if there's minor children, and your marital settlement agreement, okay? All divorces, or financial agreement. Let's just say parenting agreement, financial agreement. All divorces in the entire country need to have these documents in place. And there are things that are necessary to have in there, which again leads us back to the similarity. The governing law tells us what needs to be in there. For the parenting agreement, the law tells us that all of the agreements must be in the best interest of the child or children, okay? And for the financial agreement, now there are some states that are 50-50 states, but in the space of mediation, the law is telling us what is fair and equitable, okay? So when you're thinking of those two kind of parameters of guidance, in the courtroom setting, when you think about, okay, it's the same law, now let's talk about a major difference, okay? How is it done? It's the same law, and now let's bring up one other similarity. We have the same Supreme Court guidance that is telling us what we need to do as well. And the Supreme Court is giving you homework. You need to do a financial disclosure, and if you have minor children, you're going to have to take a co-parenting course. So those are the similarities, same law and same statute. And we could throw in another similarity, same legal process as far as what needs to be e-filed, what needs to be filed, what needs to happen for the divorce to be finalized, all the same. Inside court litigation, outside court mediation, same, okay? Now let's talk about the differences, because the differences are huge. Okay, when you are in court, you're choosing, I'm going to go through court and I'm going to hire this attorney who's going to be a bulldog and get me what I deserve, right? That attorney, this is a job for that attorney. It's true. It's a job. I was a litigation attorney for the first 9 years of my career. So I'm sharing this with you from a space of love and a space of authority, because I lived in that as the work that I did in the world. For the attorneys, this is a job. The attorney's job is to be a zealous advocate for their client. Meaning, if you go to court to get a divorce and say, let's just say husband and wife, the wife gets an attorney, okay? That attorney's job is to be a zealous advocate for their client. And what does that mean? That means that the attorney is ethically obligated, which means they could lose their license to practice law if they don't do this. And what they need to do is represent their client's best interest, and their client's best interest solely. So in this scenario, husband and wife has an attorney, being a zealous advocate. Husband has an attorney, being a zealous advocate. These attorneys are then presenting arguments in court in the form of a motion. And motions, once a motion is filed, the opposing counsel is going to have time to respond, and then the original attorney is going to have time to reply, and then there's usually a pretrial conference, and there's some, status conferences strewn throughout, and all of this are billable hours. And that's something that I don't think we talk about enough when we talk about a litigated divorce case that has the governing law that is so vague of best interest of children and fair and equitable for the money stuff. It's like, okay, well, what one person, maybe what wife believes to be best interest or fair and equitable for money, maybe the husband feels something very, very different. Now, instead of the two people talking about where their differences are and the way that they see things and their truth, in the litigated divorce, the attorneys are filing all these motions and making all these arguments. And billable hours are going up and up and up, because we always do have to remember that for the attorneys, this is a job, and they're billing you in 6-minute increments. So every 6 minutes, they get to bill you a 0.1. And attorneys, as everyone knows, and you can chat GPT this, you can Google it, but attorneys in the profession, when you work at a law firm, oftentimes, usually all times, most often, okay, in family law for sure, the attorney that is working within the law firm, they are getting pressure from their bosses that is telling them, you need to bill this many hours per month. So the first law firm that I worked at right out of college, 2006, my billable hour requirement was 200 hours a month. Okay, now in a four-week month, that is 50 hours of billable time per week, which not all work that attorneys do is billable. I'm sharing all of this with you because for the attorneys in the litigation system, your divorce is a case for them. It is a job for them. This isn't their children, and this isn't their marital property. They haven't worked one day in their lives to come up with to earn any of the marital property that you've accumulated. And they've never spent 1 minute with your children. And here people use that court system and have these attorneys arguing for them as if the attorneys know better about what is in their client's child's best interest that they've never met. And these are the parents of the children, the people who love these kids more than anyone else in the whole entire world and know these children better than anyone else in the whole world. The attorneys are doing the talking and all the arguing. And at the end of the day, you have a judge in the family law court litigation system. Now, judges in family law court, you can chat GPT this or Google this as well, or you can talk to any family law judge. And what you will find is that family law judges, their dockets are overflooded with cases. And the reality of this is it's a job for the judge too, which means there's only a certain amount of hours in the day that a judge can do their job of being a judge. And in that amount of time during a day, there's only a certain amount of time that a judge is sitting on the bench listening to cases. And it's a very high expectation to think that your judge in your family law court litigated divorce is going to remember anything about you or your case. And so the judge is going to listen to the arguments of the two attorneys and is going to make a ruling. The judge is going to issue a ruling saying, basically, when I litigated, one person is here, one attorney is over here with their argument, the other attorney is over here with their argument, and the judge is going to pick one. So in court, you always hear about this. There's a winner and there's a loser. And then you usually hear with family law, but there's really no winners in family law. And I can tell you definitively, yes, there are no winners in family law in the family law court system, because I believe that court system is fundamentally broken and destructive, and it is not efficient. It should not and does not need to take you years to get a divorce. And you absolutely do not need to be spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to utilize a system that essentially, with what I just explained to you, what you are doing when you say, going back to that first choice, someone in the marriage says, I want a divorce. Now you have a choice. You're going to litigate, you're going to mediate, right? What you are doing when you make that choice to litigate with everything I just explained, when we get to the real bare bones of it, you are giving up your power to speak your truth regarding what you believe to be in the best interest of your children. Again, the kids that you love and know better than anyone else in the whole entire world. You're also giving away your power to decide anything about your finances. So fair and equitable, it doesn't matter what you think in the family law court system. It only matters what your attorneys present to the court and what a judge orders. That's all that matters. You're giving all of your power to speak, all of your power to make decisions over to complete strangers, to you and your family, people who don't love your children, people who have not worked for your marital property. You're just saying, here, you look so important. You have a law degree. You must be super smart. You must know better than I do. They do not know better than you do. You do. So now we're going to go to mediation, and that's where I'm going to conclude this very long video. The difference between litigation and mediation, as far as same law, same Supreme Court, same legal process, but the main difference between litigation and mediation is going back to that choice when one spouse says, I want to get a divorce. If you then say, okay, let's mediate, let's use a mediator and go through mediation to get our divorce. What are the differences now compared to what I just explained in the family law court system? Main difference, you are in control. You are in control. Your mediator does not make any decisions for you. Your mediator is a neutral. That person is here to help you, meaning that person isn't billing in 6-minute increments, looking out for one of your best interests. If there are children involved, you are a forever family. Family forever until the day one of, well, you're in a co-parenting relationship until the day one of you dies. You're a family until you die. So in mediation, you are in control. You're the one who speaks your truth. You don't have anyone else speaking for you, and you don't need anyone else to speak your truth because these are your children and this is your property. And the bigger picture of everything that I'm talking about in this live, and the reason that I'm so passionate about the work that I do, is because this is your life. This is your life. This is your forever relationship with your co-parent. These are your children. This is your family. This is your marital property. This is your financial security. And this is your life that you are living. So in mediation, you are the one who gets to speak your truth. You don't get to hide behind any attorney saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know they were going to say that. It's like, no, you stand in the authority of being the person who can speak your truth, and you have a conversation with your spouse. You actually talk about things. You talk about the hard things, the things that trigger you, the things that irritate you. And yes, one person is going to be here and one person is going to be over here. And the difference from the litigation scenario of here and here, and there's a winner and a loser in the mediation space, we get to explore this middle area, this juicy space of creation where both people can win. And more importantly, bigger than this, your children can win, and your co-parenting relationship and your forever family can win too. So after almost 20 minutes of talking about this, which I did not anticipate it being this long, I also did not anticipate being so emotionally charged about this. I am hopeful. I am so hopeful that this video reaches everyone who is in need of hearing this message. And any of you out there who are thinking about a divorce right now, or your spouse told you they want a divorce, or you are in a divorce, a litigated divorce, you always have the option to utilize mediation. You can put a pause. You can just say, Judge, we need 4 months, we need 6 months, whatever it might be. We need some time. We're going to work with the mediator, and we're hoping to come back with all of the terms of those 3 documents I referenced judgment, parenting agreement, financial agreement. We're planning on coming back and presenting everything to this honorable court and moving forward with our final divorce prove-up hearing. So from my heart space to yours, I love all of you. I am here to serve, I am here to inform, and I am here to empower. And any of you can go to the Solace Divorce website. You can schedule a free consultation with me. I also have a Divorce with Love masterclass, which is 3 hours and 39 minutes of me sharing everything about the legal and emotional processes of divorce. You can check that out as well. I'm sending you so much love. Let's all take a deep breath. Let's all step in our space of love and empowerment, and let's make the decisions that best serve us. And let's continue to maintain as much control as we can of our lives and to not allow external situations and circumstances and people to dictate the quality and happiness that we have in our life. Okay, bye.